Citizenship by exception is possible in the EU. I'm going to discuss what are the options, right? A lot of people these days are interested in the citizenship by exception or merit, and EU is not the only option. There are two other programs, so three in total. I'm going to discuss each option. Now, before I discuss these exceptional citizenships, what's really important to stress upon is the trend. A lot of people these days don't want to deal with any citizenship by investment options, or at least the interest is starting to diminish because these are canned programs. These are specifically designed to collect a certain amount of information. So, for example, the Caribbean programs now supply data to the country of real citizenship, or I should say the origin citizenship, right? So these programs collect a lot of data, they have a lot of spotlights, they have a lot of regulations that they have put in place, frameworks that are put in place not necessarily by these countries, but by a consortium of other countries, typically Western countries, who want to know what's going on, who want to know who is getting these citizenships, and they would want to have access to a lot more data as compared to what they had before. So, yes, you can go and buy these citizenships, but a lot of these home country governments are going to know a lot more than they ever knew before, including your new citizenship that you have acquired. This really bothers a lot of investors, and that's why they look for citizenship by exception programs these days. And this is not legal advice or any kind of finance or tax advice, but I do feel that in today's times, if privacy is important to you or if a real citizenship is important to you, the program should be in your favor, not in your home country's favor in all cases. Now, it's nothing wrong to share as much information as you want. It's all legal, it's all correct, it's all good. So if you've not done anything wrong, why would you be afraid of sharing any information? I get that. That's a good thing. But a lot of people don't agree with this, right? So it's all about what people want to pay for, what they believe in, what they agree in. And that's where this is the first advantage of a citizenship by exception, where they don't have to conform to a specified procedure in collecting too much information that they shouldn't be collecting in the first place. Second, the speed. Now, a lot of the CBI programs are taking up to a year or even up to 2 years. Most programs have really created additional requirements that slows down the process. They want to portray as if they're doing their complete due diligence, which takes time. So yes, a year and a half, or even 2 years is not uncommon with CBI programs. That's the second point that investors don't like these days. They're paying all this money, getting scrutinized, getting audited, supplying all this information, and then waiting, in some cases, the same amount of time that you would otherwise wait through a natural residency process. The third biggest factor is now CBI programs have all gone, or most of them have gone up in price. So the price tag is significant. So you're paying more, you're spending more time, you're supplying more information, you're totally screwing yourself in some cases. So that's the third big disadvantage with the citizenship by investment program. And therefore, a lot of people absolutely want to stick to a merit based or an exception based program, which is more discreet, more private, more in your favor, asks for sensible amount of legally required information, works much faster, and pricing can be cheaper under certain circumstances if you can show the right kind of merit or a right kind of significant development or efforts in significantly benefiting the country. So that's where the exception, the terminology makes a lot of difference when these programs are viewed around the world. The moment you remove the merit or the exception terminology and you purely make it a cash transaction, that's where all the spotlights and the regulations and all the frameworks and the rules would directly apply to some of these monetary transactions. Now, before we discuss these options in details, I have a quick favor that I would like to ask you. It really helps promote this channel. It helps me get you more valuable content. It also helps me keep you updated, and it makes a big impact, believe me. So please take a moment, check your subscription. If you haven't yet subscribed, then please do me a favor, turn on that subscription. It really helps this channel. All right, now let's deep dive. I'm going to list these programs in the order of speed, and cost, right? The cheapest and the fastest program first. I'm also going to talk about the popularity. Which program is the most popular, which has more volume? The second thing I'm going to discuss is which program is feasible, right? You have a certain level of confidence. You're going to get this when you sign up. You're looking at getting this citizenship. And if there's any amount of uncertainty, I'm going to point that out as well. So you are well informed about each of these three different type of citizenship programs. Now, the first one on the list is the CPLP and ECOWAS nationality, right? This passport. And we have a special going on if you start this process this month. Then we also throw in a direct remote permanent residency that you can get. So you not only get a citizenship of a country, but you also can acquire the permanent residency 100% remote, right? Sitting in the convenience of your home. We run the processes in parallel. So you not only get the citizenship, but you also get the permanent residency right in the comfort of your home. This is the fastest program, 30 days to 45 days you're looking at your nationality, and this includes other procedures, right, regarding your name or let's say the permanent residency. Everything is taken care of. What is the unique appeal of this citizenship? It's obviously in your favor, so what I talked about, so that's important for a lot of investors. A fair amount of certainty. Of course, you're signing up for the citizenship. You're getting the CPLP and the ECOWAS affiliations, and there's several times I've talked about these affiliations, what could be potential advantages. Again, you got to check with those respective attorneys. But because this is not a CBI program like the Sao Tome or Principe option, this is an exception. So obviously, these programs are looked at differently or viewed differently. When it is a CBI program, immediately the bells go off and countries start to respond. But exception is a very different scenario. Not everyone has access to this type of program. The third benefit is the list of visa-free access to strategic countries. So for example, Singapore, where you have a lot of consulates or embassies where you can acquire visas if you want to jack up the strength of this passport. Second is the access to Mauritius, where a lot of our clients are setting up a direct permanent residency. So you have access to Mauritius, you can enter and then obviously collect your permanent residency from Mauritius, access to Philippines and a bunch of other different countries. And we have a complete legal setup, a legal team, a tax team in Mauritius. If you are interested in learning how to directly acquire the Mauritian option, right, where you can pay up to 0% to 3% taxes at the corporate level and zero taxes at the personal level. If you want to learn about this option, you can watch this video. This is covered in extensive detail. This is a West African country, so you do have a lifelong settlement rights in some very safe countries like Ghana, Gambia that are climbing up the ladder. So no, you don't have to wait for the Botswana citizenship program. Botswana is safe, but then so are some of the other emerging West African nations. They're safe as well. So if you have access to ECOWAS, you have access to all of that. So this really checks off that box. Regarding the popularity, this is an extremely popular program because of the certainty, the speed, and the price. Now, price is less than 100K USD. Again, it all depends. It can be customized. It really depends upon your family structure, but that is the starting price. Some might ask, hey, why is it so expensive as compared to other programs? Why would I not wait for something more cheaper? First of all, there's technically or practically, there's nothing more cheaper than this. This is in line with some of the other competitors. I think the biggest differentiating factors is those programs collect information. Of course, they have a defined framework, so they're bound by those set regulations, and some directly deal with some Western governments, or they may partner in future with Western governments for data sharing, intelligence sharing. So these Western governments know which programs are operational, and they would know where to look for more information on interesting individuals. Now, when you have an exceptional scenario, that's a private bond between you and the country that you're seeking citizenship from. So you have some unique advantages that you could seek from CBE in general. I'm not just specifically talking about this program. Any CBE program is more private, more in your favor, a more stronger bond, I would say, in a lot of cases, because it's based on some tangible criteria. It's not just a pure transaction that's publicly available and anyone can pick up a program and buy a passport. The second citizenship by exception on this list is, you see this often across some other channels, is the citizenship by exception in Serbia. Yes, they are known to invite and offer citizenship to foreign individuals. This is a fairly certain program, not as certain as option one, because here you obviously need to establish some presence in Serbia. You'll have to open up a company. Let's say you're renting a corporate location and you're starting your company. You have your credentials, which again, we work directly with our CBE attorneys to draft your credentials. Maybe you're a dentist, maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're an engineer, whatever profession you have. If you have a professional degree, then it's all about highlighting your achievements in your home country. Second would be to create that establishment or connection to Serbia legally, and then obviously acquiring a residency permit, so at least you have that in the interim, and then finally proving the benefit that you're creating to Serbia. So your business obviously does some activity, drafting that activity carefully, and this is where the interview between you and our attorney really helps, where you discuss jointly how your contributions through your business to the Serbian society in general can be highlighted. And then, of course, it goes to that specific ministry, whether it's Ministry of Health or Ministry of Technology or some other ministry. It depends upon the niche that your business is operating under. So that is the second option here. Is this passport as strong as the EU passport? Hell no, not at all. Is this a good passport? I will say this is a B minus, or I wouldn't say it's a C grade passport. It's a B minus passport. It's still okay. It does have good access, or fairly good access. So it is a respectable passport in that sense. What about the timing? Now, this, of course, is not lightning fast. This does take some time. So you're potentially looking at a year, or in certain cases, slightly more. So that's the time frame you're looking with Serbia. The third on the list is that EU option. So this is the country of Malta. Now, Malta had a CBI program, $1.5 million, and you could obtain the nationality in 2 years. So one great thing I see over here is that they may speed up this process. This may happen much faster, but the category is now changing from investment to exception. And that makes all the difference, because then the framework changes, the amount of information they collect changes, the criteria they deploy changes. So this is a fairly new development. The program for investment just got shut, and the program for merit, and they're calling this merit, they further want to differentiate this. So instead of using exception, they're using the terminology merit. It really means the same thing. And they are currently in the process of laying out the framework. We are constantly trying to get more official information on how this is going to be designed. So we know some preconditions that are required in order to screen the investors properly, and also to get a sense of what's really the minimum, right? What's really the minimum threshold or contributions that they're looking for. So let's say they're looking for certain skills. What are those skills? Once you have the skills, then what is the threshold? What's the range in which the person should operate or provide to the nation in order to get fair certainty on the acceptance or the approval criteria? Because when a person is going down this path, they want to get the assurance. They want to show everything. You ask for what you need, we show you what you need, and then there should be some handshake or exchange. And if you are subscribed to the channel, I promise you, you would be notified as soon as there's more information on the exception program in Malta. And before you go, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and catch you in the next one.